Hi, I'm Nick Walker, and I read Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe, and today I'm going to explain a brief overview of the book, and then demonstrate how the book is related to management and economics, and also to some personal experiences and lessons that can be learned from it. Robinson Crusoe is is a fictional autobiography from the perspective of the title character, and Crusoe is an Englishman from York, England, whose parents want him to become a lawyer, and he does not want to do that profession. He would rather be an adventurer at sea. And he decides to run away and sail, and he goes on a ship to Brazil, and when he gets to Brazil, he gets held captive. And while being held captive, he meets this African boy named Juri, who helps him escape from captivity. And him and Juri, as they run away, they run into a Portuguese man who buys Juri from Crusoe. Crusoe sells him as a slave, but he makes a deal to where Juri can be freed after 10 years. And from Brazil, Crusoe then wants to sail to Africa with a crew, and their ship runs into a storm, and it gets crashed into an island, a remote island off the Caribbean, and Crusoe is the only survivor of the crash, and so he's the only one who is by himself at this point. And he ends up being shipwrecked up to this island, and he stays there for 28 years. And throughout his time, he encounters cannibals, and he rescues a cannibal. His name is who he ends up naming Friday, and Friday feels obligated to dedicate his life to Crusoe because to pay him back for saving his life. And so Crusoe teaches Friday English. They become very good friends, and then after the 28 years, he ends up returning back to England, where he gets to see that a lot of his family members and close friends have died and are sick. And also with the Brazil, he had bought a plantation, and while he was there, and when he gets back to England, he learns that that plantation had made a lot of money, and he sells that back to somebody to keep for the money. And then as he returns back to the island after 30 years, and he realizes that the island has been taken over by Spain and is actually in good shape. And that's the overview. Robinson Crusoe, the book relates to economics. When Crusoe first gets to the island, he has to choose between two economic decisions: whether or not he's going to gather food, which is comparable to making to choosing for income, or to explore the island, which would be like leisure. So he has to manage his time and make decisions about how long he would like to generate income by gathering coconuts and food, or would he rather spend time by himself. And so that's like a decision that he has to make. He kind of works throughout the book of finding the perfect balance of that, which really includes a little bit more work than the play. This Crusoe being by himself as the only member of the economy, it generated a actual phenomenon in economics that is called the Robinson Crusoe economics, in which one individual or household is both the consumer and the producer in an economy. For management, there's also a big influence on management that can be taken from this book. When Crusoe saves Friday from the cannibals, Friday becomes his servant, and while Crusoe does make Friday call him master, and he teaches him English, he does grow fond of Friday, And so he has to balance an idea of whether or not he would be an authoritative manager, like, really barking orders at him and being very strict with him, or if he would become more delegative and be nice and kind and sweet to him. And he actually really balances both. He makes him call him master still, but he also really only Friday's the only character in the whole book that he feels genuine love for. He expresses his love for Friday and doesn't even express it for his wife or his brother or sisters back home. So he does have genuine feelings for Friday, and that is something that is interesting in the book. And he also fulfills three of Friday's hierarchy of needs from Maslow. His physiological needs, he provides food and water for Friday, and so you can see how he's like fulfilling that, and that's why Friday kind of sees him as a person who he should praise his loyalty to and commit to. He also provides him with safety by giving him the shelter and saving him from the cannibals, and he gives him a sense of belonging and love by he actually says he doesn't express it to Friday that he loves him, but he says that he loves Friday and cares about him, and he does start to actually be kind to Friday. He teaches him English and he helps him with different things like that, and he helped Friday locate his father while they were on the island. There's also a big, a major, thing with diversity as a social aspect from the book. When he meets the natives, Crusoe immediately assumes that they're cannibals and that they're going to be savages, and he at first he wants to kill them because they are cannibals, which back home in England or even here in America that's considered a crime. But he realizes that he can't kill them for that because to the Native Americans they aren't committing a crime, and so they don't believe that they don't know that it's a crime. So you cannot forcefully punish somebody for committing a crime that they did not know was against the law. And when he gets Friday and starts to get to know Friday, you start to see more of a humanization of the natives. He attributes more human qualities to these natives instead of thinking that they are just savages. He starts to see that these natives are humans and that they can be kind and helpful and genuine. Another aspect of this diversity that I thought was interesting was the difference in between how he treated the African slave Jury by selling him into slavery after Jury had just helped save him from captivity, and then how he treated Friday differently and more and better by the time he came to the island. And I think that he treated Friday so well because he was guilty for what he did to Jury, and when he sold Jury into slavery to the Portuguese man, he already expressed some guilt and regret because Jury had saved him, and he felt like he was like betraying him. When it comes to personal experiences, it's a little bit hard for me to come up with. It was hard for me to think of something that was as misfortunate as Robinson Crusoe, because I've never been isolated from my family for so long and had to deal with that much. But when I came to OSU, I kind of could see the comparisons of how Crusoe went to the island. When I came up here to Stillwater, I didn't know that many people, and I was kind of by myself in the same way that Crusoe was. And there was a lot of trial and error that I had to do. I didn't know how to cook, and I had to learn that by sometimes making stuff that was not as delicious, and then eventually I perfected it and learned how to really make food for myself and do my laundry and all the different stuff that you need to survive. And with lessons, I think that there's two lessons that I came up with. One was to appreciate what you have, and to never take things for granted. No matter how bad things could get, it could always be worse. Nothing that I have ever experienced, if I compare something that I have experienced in my life, any bad times, to Crusoe being stranded on an island for 28 years, it makes my experiences seem pretty trivial. And also perseverance, once again, with the trial and error. Crusoe, he was trying to make a pot to carry water with, and he had no idea how to do pottery, but he tried to learn it through trial and error. He kept molding clay in order to make pots, and a lot of times they would break, and he would just not form it right, and it took him years to actually make a perfect pot that was able to be boiled and could hold the grains. And it was the same thing with basket weaving. So from his experiences with that, it really taught me a lot about the perseverance and just to never give up. And that's about all. I would recommend reading this book, because it really does give you some life lessons that you can use throughout your life, whether for business, with your family, or anything.